Welcome to Study Session 8, Information Agencies and their Role in Meeting Users' Need. Introduction. As you may already know, there are a number of agencies that deal with information provision and access. These agencies play their part in ensuring that users have access to the required information that they need in different formats in order to make rational and informed decisions. Even though some of the roles of the information agencies overlap, they have different mandates in providing information to their targeted audience. These information agencies are libraries, museums, the mass media, archives, and record management centers. A discussion of these information agencies will be the focus of this study session. Learning outcomes. At the end of this study session, you should be able to 1. Identify the different types of information agencies. 2. Understand the role of these agencies in meeting users' need. Information agencies. These information agencies include the following: libraries, archives, museums, mass media, private information organization. The library. This is an institution that is responsible for the collection, processing, and storage of recorded knowledge for the purpose of reading, study, and consultation. The library can also be seen as an institution that meticulously selects, consciously acquire, tirelessly process, systematically organize, willingly disseminate, and jealously preserve information resources in different formats, print, audiovisual, and electronic, in order for the information needs of users to be met. Gone are the days when the name library is mentioned. The picture that comes to mind is a place, a building, where books are stored. Presently, libraries are understood as extending beyond the physical walls of a building. The role of the library in meeting users' need includes provision of information. In order to meet the information needs of users, libraries provide the access to different information resources. Examples of these resources include books such as textbook, fiction books, and reference books, serials, audiovisual materials, audio recordings and video recordings, pictures, charts, maps, atlases, microforms, and the likes, and electronic information resources, e-books, e-journals, and e-magazines. Preservation of culture. The information resources that are required, processed, and organized in the library are products of human knowledge that are recorded and preserved for the benefit of individuals at present and those of the future. Knowledge is an important aspect of culture. The libraries, as the storehouse of these resources, are actually preserving culture. A fresh student that seeks information about the time of his lecture and who makes it a point of duty to always come before the class starts is an information user. For someone to be described as an information user, the meaning is that the information must be used for the purpose in which it was sought in the first place. According to Uhegbu, information users can be categorized in a number of ways. Promotion of education. The information resources in the libraries are on different subjects. This makes it possible for users who use these resources to be educated in any field of human knowledge. The educational role of libraries is evident with the libraries that are attached to educational institutions. These libraries support educational activities with information resources. Provision of aesthetic enjoyment. Libraries also provide access to information resources that can be used for relaxation purposes. These materials include magazines, newspapers, novels, storybooks, educational games, and films. With these roles performed by the library, users can have their various information needs met. The different types of libraries also ensure that target groups get the needed information that they desire. Types of libraries. The types of libraries include academic libraries, school libraries, national libraries, special libraries, public libraries. Academic libraries. These are libraries that are attached to the institutions of higher learning, like colleges of education, polytechnics, and universities. This library supporting the teaching, learning, and research that are carried out in these institutions. Users of these libraries include lecturers, staff, students, and researchers. The information resources that these libraries provide support the disciplines that are studied in the institutions. These types of libraries are those that enjoy better funding than the other types in Nigeria. School libraries. These libraries are attached to pre-primary, primary, and secondary schools. They provide information resources and services that support the education that takes place at that level. The libraries provide information resources that will assist the teachers to perform their lesson notes and also update their knowledge. While the pupils also use the library as a place where they can cultivate valuable skills like study skills and reading skills. The library creates an environment for independent study. Textbooks, fiction materials, and audiovisual materials are available in the school library. The incorporation of more tailored and specific information resources that address the information needs of such users like toys, study kits, films, educational games, and the likes has transformed the idea of school library into a resource or media center. National Library. This is the apex library of a country. The National Library serves as a depository center where specified copies of published materials are kept. This assists in the production of national bibliography on a yearly basis. This library also issues the International Standard Book Number (ISBN), International Standard Serial Number (ISSN), maintains a union catalogue, and also serves as a documentation center. Special libraries. These are libraries that are attached to the organizations and institutions that are engaged in a circumscribed, restricted area of activity. They are called special because of the type of information resources they provide access to, the categories of users that utilize the library, and the kind of services they render. Some of these libraries are attached to research institutes with different scope. Some are into different aspects of agriculture, like tropical agriculture, cocoa, horticulture, forestry, fishery and marine technology, and the likes. Public libraries. These are libraries that provide service to the general public. All categories of information users should have access to information resources that will meet their needs. The library does not discriminate based on gender, sex, health status, literacy level, educational status, and occupation. These libraries are basically financed by the government, even though private and multinational organizations at times may render financial assistance. Apart from these 5 types of libraries, there are also private libraries owned by individuals and also subscription libraries where information is accessed electronically for a fee. Museums. Museums are non-profit making, permanent institutions in the service of society and its development, and open to the public that acquire, conserve, research and communicate, and exhibit for the purpose of study, education and enjoyment, material evidence of people and their environment. Museums have traditionally existed to acquire, preserve, interpret and present works of art and artifacts. Arinze stated that the role of museums is to collect objects and materials of cultural, religious, and historical importance, preserve them, research into them, and present them to the public for the purpose of education and enjoyment. The museum as an institution tells the story of man, the world over, and how humanity has survived in its environment over the years. It houses things created by nature and by man, and in our modern society, it houses the cultural soul of the nation. Museums hold the cultural wealth of the nation in trust for all generations, and by its functions and unique position, it has become the cultural conscience of the nation. The role of museum in the society cannot be overemphasized. Museums impact positively on the educational sector. Education is critical for development. Education that is devoid of the culture of the people in the society is empty and incomplete. One of the fundamental objectives of the museum is to educate, and it is only the museum that has the capacity and the ability to impart cultural education effectively, as it houses the tools and materials for doing so in its collection. The museum also uses its resources to promote peace and foster dialogue in the society. For a people to live in peace and happiness, there must be unity. Museums do promote unity in the society by using their resources to ensure understanding and appreciation for the various groups and cultures that exist in that society. The cultural heritage in the museum includes manuscripts, paintings, textiles, coins, arms and armor, leather goods, fossils, and industrial processes. These materials find their way into the museum through gifts, purchase, trading with other museums, and expeditions. The various kinds of museums like the history art, natural history, and folk museums, and the general museum ensure that these information materials that contain valuable, inestimable memory of the society are preserved, so that future generations will also have access to the ancient archaeological and ethnological works. Mass media. These include information agencies like the radio, television stations, and newspaper agencies. There are radio stations owned by the government, private individuals and organizations who broadcast daily and for some round-the-clock information in form of news and programs. Millions of people tune to them and they get informed about activities of government and other happenings in the society. Some radio stations meet the recreational needs of individuals by devoting their entire program to music and sports for 24 hours. Television stations are meeting the information needs of individuals today. Local and international stations abound, with different programs that meet the information needs of individuals. Educational programs, interviews, documentaries, and other interesting and educative programs are televised. Newspapers are also very popular. They report political, health, agricultural, sports, and other stories on a daily basis. In order to meet their information needs, individuals who want to get informed must purchase them. Different types of information can be found inside the newspapers, such as employment opportunities. However, the advent of the Internet and the World Wide Web has made it possible for the newspapers to be accessed electronically. Most of the newspapers in Nigeria have their electronic version accessible through their websites. The role performed by the mass media in meeting the information needs of users is profound. Archives and records management centers. Archives are a collection of records of historical importance which are preserved because of their enduring and lasting value. These records are generated in the course of the day-to-day routines of organizations and government establishments. wrote indicated that archives are an essential part of the government's institutional memory. They are also a major cultural and scientific information resource and a significant element in national information system. INO 2004 opined that these institutions are responsible for the collection and preservation of public and historical records for the use of historians and researchers. Archives could also mean a body of non-current, permanently valuable records. This term is also used to refer to their place of deposit, or a building dedicated to their care and use, and to the organization or agency responsible for administering them. The archives acquire and preserve records that document war, natural phenomena, the migration of people, the birth and development of national identity, the efforts of government to improve a lot of the people economically and socially, and the successes and failures that are the result of all sustained human activity. These information resources are documented in letters, reports, diaries, photographs, plans, maps, films, and tape recordings. The archives serve as the collective institutional memory of the government and its component parts. Archives are an essential tool for achieving administrative efficiency and economy, as they provide ready access to the government's past experience and furnish precedents when challenges arise that are similar to those earlier. Summary for study session 8. These information agencies that were discussed in the lecture were libraries, museums, and the mass media and record management centers, inasmuch as these agencies perform almost the same role of promotion of information, preservation of all culture, provision of education, and aesthetic enjoyment. They have specific users that benefit from their services. Based on the types of information that is needed, the information agencies will always have information that help meet the current needs of present and prospective users. End of study session 8. Thanks for listening.